morning, everybody. So grateful to be here with you today. Thanks for joining this BeliefCast this week. We've had some amazing support over the last several weeks, so thank you so much. I have a great guest today. His name's Max Richards, and I'm so grateful and excited to get to know him today. He's got an amazing story. I've known Max for a while now, and he's such a great kid, and I'm excited to have him on. So welcome, Max.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy.
Yeah. So how you doing, man?
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
So I know we're bright and early, so thanks for coming.
Yeah.
No
problem.
This is well before his school, so we've got to make sure he gets there on time. So tell us a little bit about you. Where you go to school? How old are you? And a little bit about your family.
All right. So I'm 17 years old. I go to Corner Canyon High School, which is like in Draper area. And then my family, I have 3 sisters, and then my mom and dad. My oldest sister is married to a guy named Murphy. Love Murphy, he's the nicest. And then my 2 younger sisters, one's in high school, and she is 14, and the other one's 12 years old, which is in 5th grade. So,
right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, great family. I know your family, great family. So you're a senior, correct, at Corner Canyon?
Senior.
So do you like Corner Canyon, like going to high school there?
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. It's an awesome school. So.
Yeah. So what are you involved with there at school? What are you doing?
In school, I'm not really doing much as like clubs or sports or anything anymore. I used to do a bunch of lacrosse, and I played all the sports really. And then as times went on, I kind of stopped playing a bunch, but still go there, love it, have a ton of friends and stuff. So
good deal.
Yeah.
So aren't you doing like some work release program or something? Where
yeah, I did last semester. I did, but this semester I just am doing regular school. So
good deal.
Yeah.
So you're working these days too?
Yeah.
Or just
I'm working at this place called Ubiquity, and what I do is like it's an Amplify, so it's like a system where it boosts your Wi-Fi, and I just sell it to residential homes. So,
really?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing that?
Like a month and a half.
Oh, it's not very long.
Not too long. No.
Yeah, and were you working at a restaurant too? A while
Yeah, I
ago,
was with a bunch of my buddies. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was fun, right?
Yeah, it was.
Good deal. So, one of the things we try to focus on here is just, I call it a belief cast because we're focusing on the power of belief. Because our beliefs dictate the way we behave.
Yeah.
And some beliefs obviously can hold us back, and some beliefs can actually set us free. And we're going to get more into that in just a minute. But I wanted to ask you, thinking about high school, and you're now a senior, so you've been there for a few years now. What is one of the hardest things you've had to deal with, or what do you think is one of the hardest things about high school for kids?
High school, I think the hardest thing is like being accepted by others is very hard, but learning to know that you're accepted by others. So like when people like get insecure and you think people don't like you, then that's the hardest part, is knowing that people do like you. Just knowing that people aren't like constantly thinking like they don't like you. So I think that's the hardest part.
No, that's a good point. So what you're saying, if I'm correct, is that there was a time you'd walk around high school thinking that no one liked you at times. Yeah, that can be tough. Your age, most people want to be accepted, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that, and how did you, make a difference in there to know that people actually do accept you?
So I just started talking to you, obviously, and then I began just simple and started believing in myself, doing daily things, teaching myself that I am great, and then soon enough, I'm just able to realize that people actually do like me.
Right.
And, like, I'm happier, and so it makes people want to come around me more often. So.
Does it help to know that? Does it help to actually like who you are?
Yeah, for sure. Like I used to whenever I'd do something, I'd always be worried that other people didn't like it, and so that I didn't like it. But as soon as I started liking it, then I felt as if other people liked it also. So
Gotcha.
It kind of helped me a lot.
Okay. Have you had a girlfriend, or do you have a girlfriend now, or do you
really
date much, or
not much?
Did you date in the past, or?
I've gone to dances and stuff, but I've never consistently dated a
never had a serious girlfriend.
Yeah, I just did do a bunch of fun stuff with friends. So.
Is there anything else in high school that's tough? I mean, obviously, everyone wants to be accepted and have a lot of friends, and a lot of kids struggle with that. And is there anything else, that you struggled with, or that kids you think in general struggle with in high school besides that?
Being accepted, and then also probably being able to like say no to certain things. Like when people like, for example, obviously there's drugs and alcohol. That's easy to say no to, but then also like simple things. Also like skipping school. Like it starts that. You know, it's hard to say no to that. That's another challenge like for high school kids.
Okay. Well, you just said something really interesting there. You said, of course, there's drugs and alcohol, and that's easy to say no to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of kids don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's true.
So obviously, it's easier for you to say no to that. Mm-hmm. How come? Why is that so easy for you?
Probably just because I've known my whole life that I just want to say no to it, rather than like kind of being like curious about it and stuff. So I've just always been ready to just say no. So it's been.
So you've known since you're a young kid that that's something you didn't want to get involved with.
Mm-hmm.
So where did that come from? Is that just a decision you made, or did your parents kind of help you out in that area?
My dad always put a lot of pressure on that. Like always, so like it's always like since I was really little, talked about saying no to everything that's bad. So
why do you think your dad was so adamant about that?
Probably because he just knows the effects of what it does to people and how it ruins families and how it ruins your life and such. And so he knows that it's important that I stay away from it because he knows it'll keep me healthy and.
So why don't you tell people what your dad does for a living?
So my dad owns Wasatch Recovery, which is a drug rehab facility, and he works with his brother. And what the company does, they just have people come in and they have them go through therapy sessions and do a bunch of fun activities, which help them become clean from drugs and alcohol. So.
Yeah. So your dad obviously sees firsthand.
Yeah.
The destructive effects of drinking and doing drugs, and so. Obviously, he taught you as a young kid, educated you, I guess we could say.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you found that kind of teaching really empowered you as you went through, junior high and high school, I would imagine?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you? Were there times where you were offered it?
I've like had friends in the past who would do it, but I just never was interested. I was never one to be like, oh, let's just like, I just want to watch you do it or anything. Okay. I just like, I don't really care.
Did your friends know where you stood with it?
Yeah, always. People would never, like my friends at least, would never ask me, like here, try this. They would never try and like pressure me into it.
Because they knew where you stood.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's powerful. And that's a good point I want to point out is when we stand up for who we are and what we know is right, and Max is this way with not just that, I've known him for a while, is it fair to say that you're not afraid to speak your mind?
Yeah.
He's really good that way. There's an old story about King Louis XVI that before he was king, he was a prince, and his enemies threw him into prison. And they were offering him alcohol and women to have sex with and some fatty foods, and they were just trying to destroy his life. And he kept refusing. Mm. And they asked him, why are you refusing this stuff? And he says, because I was born to be a king. See, he knew who he was before he ever was. And it sounds like that's kind of what you kind of knew who you were at a young age, which is very empowering, correct?
Yeah.
So you knew that drugs and alcohol didn't fit with who you were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's a powerful thing, Max. I think that's really, really cool that you set the tone with your friends and people who knew you. I don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah. A lot of the time, too, also, is like, since I did hang around, like, I'm friends with a lot of different people. It's not like I have a set group of friends or anything, but, like, I was around kids often who would do that kind of stuff, like, obviously I wouldn't do it, and so people always thought I would do it, which kind of stunk because it would kind of, like, bring me down in a way because people would think I was, like, not a good kid making bad decisions when I knew that I wasn't, so it was hard to compete. But
really,
then I just learned to kind of just like deal with it, and I don't really care what people think. So,
but going back to your original struggle about being accepted, so that probably was tough because maybe at times you felt you weren't accepted because of that stance.
Yeah, for sure. That's like one struggle I had, and then since like this year, I've been a lot better because I don't really consciously think about what other people think of me. I'm just kind of doing my own thing,
So looking back on, I know you're now a senior, but you look back on the few years you've been in high school and even junior high, would you change that? It was probably hard feeling like you weren't accepted. We've talked about that before, right, together, and that was a struggle. It's tough. But knowing how tough that was, would you ever go back and change that?
Not really, no, because now today I am like, it helped me a ton because now I am able to just kind of be myself rather than trying to be like what other people want me to be. So
yeah. So it goes with the old saying we've talked about is life happens for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look back at all those struggles, it's actually made you who you are today, this strong young kid who has a lot of goals set in mind and wants to do good, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you wouldn't change it, correct?
No.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. So do you have any heroes you look up to, people you admire? And
Yeah, so like obviously there's my dad because he's just a great example. He's always taught me well. And then also there's my grandpa Keith. He
okay.
is like a hard worker and he is always like consistent in his day. He's never like made bad decisions since he was young. He's like been able to like help himself. He never really needed other people to support him very much. So and then he's really confident in himself as well. So I kind of look up to him a lot. He's loving,
cool.
Cares about me a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think your grandpa knows that he's one of your heroes?
Mm-hmm.
He does.
Yeah, I love him. I'm always with him. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Anyone else that you look up to and admire? Like maybe out. I mean, obviously your family. I know your family. Great family.
Yeah, my uncle Jeff probably. I love Jeff, so yeah, look up to him a lot because I know like everybody like my dad. Like my dad tries to like say he's perfect to me now, even though I know he's not. Jeff's like real with me, and so he'll like tell me anything he's ever made a mistake on or anything. So I kind of connect with Jeff really good. So
yeah, Jeff is probably one of the kindest guys I've ever met as well, and he's also not afraid to say, hey, here's where I've struggled, and so it probably feels good that at times you feel probably safe and have some common ground with him.
I do. Yeah, I can like. In a way, I feel like more comfortable talking to Jeff than I do with my dad in certain areas, you know. But like, even though anything I tell Jeff, I tell my dad. But
yeah. So you did mention that your dad's, that was the first person you mentioned was one of your heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me why though. I mean, you did, hey, he's a great example. But what's he a good example in for you? What does he show you?
He's always showing me that you need to work hard and you like get what you work for. So like in order to do well in life, you have to work hard constantly. Like you can't really take a day off or anything like that. Yeah. Oh, is that my phone? Sorry.
Yeah. His peeps are hitting him up already, man. We just got started. It's pretty cool. So your dad he's definitely a hard worker. That's for sure. What else?
And then also he showed me that like, as long as you stay like strong and like say no to everything throughout your life, then it will always like end up more positive than like it would be if you were to just try it once, Right. And he always is like able to show me what he's done good, and he hasn't done as much bad as he has good. So it's like it shows me that I want to be like that. So
there's a reason why he's successful in business, but also successful as a family man. And and I know your mom as well, and they're just great parents who. Obviously care a lot about you. Yeah. Right?
For sure.
you know that, correct? Yeah. And so what a blessing for you to have that in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how has your mom influenced you?
She's just with me every day. Obviously, I'm with my mom all the time. And like I love helping her out, and so she's kind of showed me like how I should be able to treat my wife in a way. Like I guess that's kind of even though I'm young, she kind of shows me that like what I need to do in order to like be a good husband, be a good dad and stuff throughout the day. So
yeah, right on. That's awesome. How about let's talk about your siblings. Your siblings that you rub shoulders with. Are you close with them?
Yeah, for sure.
Right on. Who do you admire there and why?
So they're all great, and then Morgan's my older sister, so I look up to Morgan a lot because throughout high school she was always just a hard worker, and she would always get like good grades and such. Always was a good girl, and she always hung around with like a good crowd and stuff. And I always looked up to all her friends and stuff as well. And then Addie, she's great as well because she just she kind of does her own thing. She's not like trying to be like anybody too hard or anything. And then there's Sophie, who's just like crazy. She's just like.
She's your youngest sister,
she's super fun.
Okay.
Sophie's great.
So are you second oldest then?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Right on. So you're got a few more months of high school left. What are your plans after high school?
I'll probably go on an LDS mission. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Get done with high school, go to summer for like a month, and then I'll probably head out on my mission anytime in July or August.
Very cool. Huge commitment.
Yeah.
Huge commitment, but what an amazing thing you're willing to do that.
Says
a lot about who this kid is, that he's willing to do something like that. That's not for the faint in heart. 2-year commitments, quite the quite the task, but I'm sure you'll be amazing at it.
Yeah, it'll be so fun. I'm excited. So
That's cool. So we've talked a little bit about what you want to do when you get older, for career wise. You want to talk a little bit about that? I know you had a few ideas.
yeah. So once I get back from my mission, I'll go to 2 years of college, get my generals done, and throughout that I'll probably kind of decide more what I want to do. But as of right now, if I could do anything, I'll go to my generals and then I'll go to medical school and I'll work hard and like become an anesthesiologist. And
Oh wow.
there's a lot of things I can decide between, and I'm sure it'll change. But as of right now, I'll probably want to be an anesthesiologist.
Really, where did that come from? That's cool.
I don't know. I've liked it. I've always thought it was a really cool job since I was a little kid. So
right on.
Yeah.
Do you know how? I mean, is that a lot of schooling? I would imagine. I don't know how.
Yeah,
that
I think
works.
it's like 10 to 12 years.
Right.
So it's a lot.
But it'd be worth it.
Yeah, it'll be worth it.
Well, that's where that coming. Where your mom and dad have taught you to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And how important that is. And you even said your grandpa, the reason why you look up to him is he's a hard-working guy,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And your grandpa's very successful too.
Yeah, he is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I love that because, one of the things I teach my clients all the time, I call it the law of the universe. Those that do are those that get. If you put in the work, you'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you understand that already.
Yeah.
So like for instance, you put in the work to making the commitment to being drug free, right?
Mm-hmm.
And alcohol free.
Yeah.
And therefore you put in the work, but you had to suffer a little bit because at times you felt like you weren't accepted.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the hardest things because when in high school, I know when I was in high school, I wanted to be accepted more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was going the opposite direction as you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I look up to you, Max. Seriously, a kid who's good-looking kid, smart kid, probably have all these, opportunities to maybe do some wrong things, but you always choose at times. I know you're not perfect,
Yeah.
but I know most of the time you choose to do good things, and I really admire that about you. Yeah, I think that's powerful. Yeah, people need to get to know this guy. Seriously, an amazing guy. So I want to talk to you. Let's go back to what I brought up just a minute ago about beliefs, right? And how our beliefs dictate the way we behave. And maybe talk about maybe one or two beliefs that you've really struggled with in your life. And this is, I know this is getting personal,
Yeah.
but think back to like even junior high school, some things that maybe you believed about yourself or the world that kind of held you back.
Yeah, so like a belief about myself is that I could never in a way that what I used to struggle with, not as much anymore, but is that I could never be as great as other people. So when I see other people being succeeding and doing great and having lots of friends and stuff, I always thought I always believed that only certain people could do that and not I could do that,
Wow. Okay.
And so that's one of the beliefs I struggle with personally.
Okay.
And then beliefs with the world, I always struggled to believe that anybody could be in the wrong all the time. I always thought everybody would just make mistakes here and there.
Okay.
But then as I got older, I realized that people are constantly making mistakes. But
yeah, no one's perfect kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you had a belief in growing up that at times you didn't feel like you were good enough.
Yeah.
This person over here's got all these friends. Everyone seems to like them.
Mm-hmm.
I could never be like that, right? I wasn't as good as that person.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that is I'm sure that person felt the same way.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time, Max, and probably the number one limiting belief I hear constant through all my clients is I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that too. I believed I wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you believed you weren't good enough. So what kind of behavior did that lead to? What would you do based off of that belief?
I would be more quiet and more to myself rather than being outgoing,
Yeah.
So that was that kind of stunk. But.
Did you did it kind of make you feel sad at times?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So if you think about that, again, the belief dictates behavior, and so your behavior mirrored that belief, right?
Yeah, it did.
So you said you don't feel that way so much now. I mean, how are you able to overcome that belief?
I've just kind of realized that I'm more important to myself than than others are to me, and so I should care more about who I am rather than trying to be like someone else. Then I could be accepted by others. I just kind of do what I want to do, and if people want to be around me, that I'm good with that, would be awesome.
So it sounds like you're more secure with who you are.
I am,
right?
For sure.
Yeah, that's a big plays a big part in it for sure. Well, that's awesome. So what's a belief you have that it's actually empowering, that actually causes you to just be free and to have confidence and things like that? What would you say?
A belief I have that like makes me feel empowered or whatever is like that everyone can like be great. Like everyone's great in their own way. Everyone's like no one's lesser than one other. Everyone's just like different in their own way, and everyone's great. So that's
okay. So you feel like you're equal?
Yeah, in a way, but not fair to say. Yeah, and equal in a way of like greatness in their own self. Not like you don't have to worry about what others think of you. You don't have to be great for others. You just have to be great to yourself.
Gotcha. So what kind of behavior did that lead to when you believed that?
More confidence. I was more willing to talk to other people. I started reaching out to people that I didn't know as much.
Okay.
And so been a lot happier as well. So that's for sure.
Right on, man. That's powerful. Again, the whole focus of this BeliefCast series is that word belief, because it's so powerful, because it really does dictate the way we behave, and it really, causes us either to be miserable or to be joyful. So is it fair to say, because of that belief that you had, that you just shared, that instead of being sad, you were happy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating?
For sure.
Yeah. And see, you were the same Max, basically, but just a different belief.
Yeah.
So one led to maybe where you felt sad, others where you felt happy.
Yeah.
Okay. That's powerful. Any other beliefs that empower you that you'd like to share with the listeners?
I'm sure there's tons I could go on about. But, let's think of another one. I think that's like the biggest one probably, is just knowing you're great instead of worrying about what other people think you're great.
Okay. When you're by yourself and you're just in your own head, so to speak, what's generally, what are you thinking about? What is it positive? Is it something that's negative?
It's usually positive. Like sometimes you'll have like a rough day or whatever, and so when you're alone, you'll have negative thoughts. But usually I'm positive. Like whenever I always try and have a good day, I always try and like wake up early, get up, and then go to school and have a positive attitude. So when I get home, when I'm alone, that I constantly am never thinking about like how the negatives were that day. I'm just happy.
Right. So. Okay. So speaking of your morning, I know we've worked on a few things.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about some of the things you do in the morning that you changed over the last few months that allows you to feel like that you're ready to rock and roll, like you're on fire.
So I usually used to wake up at 7:10. And so then I'd kind of have to get up, get in the shower, and just head out to school. I didn't really like eating breakfast or anything, But like for the past couple months since I've talked to you, I've gotten up at 6:20, and then I'll get in the shower. Right when I get out, I'll read my I am statement, which is like, that's what I call it. It's like a statement which says it'll help me gain confidence throughout the day. It's like, I am great, and it's like all these certain things that I have that are special about me personally. And then I brush my teeth, go upstairs, and then I'll eat breakfast. And so then I'm wide awake for the day, and then I head out to school.
Nice.
So that's usually
I am statement, man. That's powerful. So it's kind of like you saying, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is who I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you notice a difference when you do that?
Yeah, for sure. It helps me, makes me realize how good I am rather than worrying about other things.
What I love about that, Max, is you're actually sacrificing sleep to do that. And for high school kids, sleep is everything, man. Sleep is like gold. So you basically getting up almost an hour earlier in order for you to do that.
Yeah. And it makes me more awake for school, so I always do better in school too. Makes me a lot happier because I'm not dragging throughout the day as well too.
Wow. Wow, I love that. That's powerful. So maybe, one of the things that I like to do with the listeners is to leave them with a challenge, right? And maybe it could be geared towards even that. But what challenge would you want to give to our listeners to maybe challenge them to do, starting today over the next week or so?
Yeah, so a good one for high school kids is every day when you see someone who's struggling, you might walk past them in the hallways and just smile at them or say hi or whatever. But maybe every week, like once a week, actually like genuinely try and make an effort with someone, talk to them a bunch, try and maybe even hang out with them, go to lunch with them or something like that. I feel like that's a pretty good challenge. I feel like that'd be something great to do.
Yeah, that would be amazing. You know, when I was in high school, you always knew the kids who were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I say that, meaning we always know the kids who maybe don't have that very many friends.
Yeah.
You can just look at them and say, man, they're struggling. And so, is that kind of who you're saying?
Yeah, kids like that. Like obviously, there's kids who are struggling, but they don't show it.
They don't show it.
It's kind of
as
harder
much.
to help them out.
Right.
But you can always tell when people are struggling. So maybe always genuinely try and reach out to them like once a week, twice a week.
Okay, listeners, there's your challenge. There it is. Let's do one more challenge. Tell them about, what about maybe having them do an I am statement?
Okay.
Maybe talk about that.
When you wake up in the morning, so obviously don't write it in the morning, write it during the day and you can write a rough draft and kind of grow on it. Write an I am statement stating what you are and like how you think you're great. So like, for example, you can say you are great, you're going to be happy that day, and you're going to succeed, and you're going to be you're just going to be an awesome person that day.
Right.
And so you're going to say what you are and what you're going to be that day.
Right.
And so, yeah, that'd be a good challenge. When you wake up in the morning, have that on a piece of paper, just read it once out loud, and then it'll help you a ton throughout the day. So
beautiful. I love it, man. Well, what maybe to wrap this up, we just got a couple more things I want to ask you. And real quick, guys, again, there's your challenge. You got 2 challenges. Reach out to someone who's struggling, make their day, and everyone knows who that is, and then do your I am statement. That's something I've done for 20 years, and it's been probably one of the greatest things I've ever done myself. So what advice could you give some kid right now who might be struggling in junior high, high school, where they just feel like no one likes them and they're not accepted? What advice could you give them right now that would help them?
It's kind of rough advice because it's easier said than done, but just kind of worry less about what other people are thinking of you and try and think of yourself as great. And so that'll just eventually, as soon as you think you're great, then other people will start to think you're great too. And so
I love that. Thought creates the emotion. Thoughts are powerful. So I agree with that, Max. Beautiful. So how can people get a hold of you? Are you on social media?
Yeah.
I
have an Instagram, and I think it's max.grichards.
Okay.
So,
right on.
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, cool, guys. Well, thank you so much, seriously, for being on this. It's been my honor to know you.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of the coolest kids I've ever met, and you have come a long way from the time I met you and some of the things that you were struggling with. To see you and hear you say these things today is truly inspiring. So, hey, peeps, this is going to be out soon. We're going to put it on YouTube, iTunes, and also Podbean, and then it'll be through all social media. So I can't wait for you to listen to this and to get to know Max a little bit more. Please hit him up on his Instagram. And anyway, thank you so much. This has been my honor. I appreciate it.